Fraggle because it's time to get to our seats here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get to your seat. Get down to that seat. Down in front.
You get down in front. How dare you?
You scruffy nerd herder.
Who's scruffy looking?
You're a scruffy looking nerd herder.
I know you are, but what am I?
Scruffy looking nerd herder. I mean, I was pretty clear about this.
McClunky.
Pringus McDingus. Anyway, welcome to the Kino Corner, where we talk about the very best in movies, news, and trailers from a certain point of view. I'm joined here by an absolute nerd, the Gryphon.
Hello.
Today, for those who know, like last time we had the winner was the Bayformers. That one we pushed to next time because, as we all know, this is the May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So, being as it stands, we had a little special Star Wars episode planned out before we get to our little tier list. Just a few little things to kind of wrap up loose ends, a normal preamble of the show, talk about any news and upcoming trailers. So without further ado, let's start this off with some news. Be you ready, Mr. Gryphon?
I probably won't have much to say about this stuff,
How
other
dare you?
than maybe cracking a joke here and there, but
How dare you? How dare you not do your research? I gave
uh,
you the
well,
material.
go ahead.
I gave you the material. How could you not understand the intricacies of Karate Kid advertising in Roblox?
What?
They're advertising the
That
Karate Kid movie within Roblox.
Look, whenever you give me the list of news and trailers to watch, I take notes on what I might want to say about these things. And the only thing I wrote for this was what?
I mean, the picture here is pretty self-explanatory. On various Roblox lobbies, specifically RP and open lobbies, there is like paid advertisements for Karate Kid legends just floating around all like theaters and various billboards and shit. Excuse me. Now, not fully movie related because it's kind of a new game. I I just thought it interesting to bring up because we're kind of now. It was a clear sign than anything that we are now in the next stage of movie advertisement. This is the first step of just. Maybe you'll be playing Jurassic World Evolution and you'll see a billboard for fucking Adventures Doomsday or something.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Well, not in that game in particular, but just imagine you're playing something, cruising around, just having a good time on the bottom right corner. Hey, go see Naked Gun.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't it want to make you go see the movie if you were playing the new Spider-Man game and then like, hey, you like Marvel? Why don't you go on Disney Plus right now?
I was going to do that anyway, but thanks.
See, but now that you told me, I don't want to. It's a chore.
Well, you know what? You can suck it up, as you're only paying the average price for a movie ticket to have like a ton of movies at your disposal all at once, so get on it.
Get on your face. Anyway, no,
What else we got?
I just find that a little bit interesting. But the next piece of news is I guess my thoughts on that are kind of carryover thoughts. Sydney Sweeney she is going to star in a live action split fiction movie. Look, the people involved are talented, but again, like my stance on this has not changed on these types of movies. I like video game adaptations, but while you could do something super stylized with Split Fiction, I've seen the gameplay and oh my god, this like it's a game that does something that no other game does. Like this like whenever you're doing split screen with somebody and there's like that line in the middle that separates the two player screens.
Yeah,
The game utilizes that. Like there's levels that like one side is sci-fi, one side is fantasy, each with different obstacles and whatnot, and you have to actively like move or jump between that line to avoid and traverse different areas. It's trippy. So
trippy, but could be fun. I don't know.
yeah, no, it looks super. It's hard to explain to understand. The game itself looks fun, but it's very story driven. So my stance on these types of games, like this could be a very stylized film, but if the film is already narratively driven and there's already a script in place, then making a movie or a show about it feels easy mode, you know?
Yeah,
That's what I say. Like that's why, yeah. The Last of Us show is good, but here's the thing: that's because the Last of Us game was good, and now like your expectation for the show wasn't like, oh, okay, is it going to like take the show in a new direction? Is no, is it going to be as good as the show? And now all of a sudden it being great has met expectations. It's just a big disservice to these kind of things. Like and it wouldn't be a problem if it was just one at a time, like every once in a while, just a few. But I feel like with like Split Fiction, Death Stranding, this like a potential Ghost of Tsushima show, Bioshock show, like the very narratively driven cinematic games that, in some capacity, are more movie than game. Bioshock being the exception, but that one kind of is in limbo. Then,
all right. Well, do we know what characters these actors are playing? Like, are they
well,
characters from the games?
Well, Sydney Sweeney, there's two main female characters. The picture on the right, I believe, is the director, John Cho, I believe his name is. Let's see here. Let me pull up his name here. The fiction. Here we go. Or John Chu. John Chu is directing it. We don't know who Sydney Sweeney is playing, but she obviously and very likely she's going to be one of the two main female protagonists of Split Fiction. Now, here's the other side of it. I'm looking at this from a super generalized perspective. It is it's missing a lot of context, and I could be ignorant to like the quality of certain things because while I have seen clips, I have not technically played the game yet. I just know what it looks like, and I can tell it's a very narratively driven game. It's more, and it just I want us to the Fallout series. I think was a great like series because yes, it's a narrative story, but they did what any good video game series should do. They took the kind of general narrative of the world that encompasses the games and wrote their own story. And lo and behold, if you haven't seen Fallout, it was amazing. Like that's why I was like I want those kind of video game shows. I want those kind of video game movies. I don't mind adaptations like a few Easter eggs here and there, like with Sonic, but I don't know. Like the more like a movie the game is, the less of a point I see in making it a movie. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping Wes Ball does with his Legend of Zelda movie
Yeah,
because that is a vast world of infinite possible stories you could tell.
and and well, to touch on Legend of Zelda, yeah, every single like game technically is like there's the Zelda timeline, each one being a little different. Like yes, there's like standards that have to be in place. There has to be a Link in some capacity. There has to be a Zelda in some capacity. there has to be a big bad that's usually Ganon or Ganondorf. Usually, there are exceptions. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they could take a few chances with that. With Split Fiction, the another aspect of it, that game just came out.
Really?
Yeah, no, it won Game of the Year last year. Not last year. When did it win? When did it release? Hold on a second.
Jumping the gun a bit, are we?
Yes. Oh, scratch that. It released much later than I thought. It released in March of this year.
I see.
Yeah. Do you see like how this is also looking like definitely more of a cash grab than an actual like, hey, people like this game, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Now, granted, I again, I this one amongst all the ones I generally just have kind of a problem with it because of the stylization angle of it. This could be different. Like this could be this Inception style, super stylized movie, and they use a lot of camera tricks in the same way the game uses a lot of those split screen multiplayer tricks with its camera. Like if they do that, then I can and like they translate its tricks to like unique tricks for film, then I can forgive a lot of the story stuff being similar if they properly adapt the style. Like I can forgive a lot of that. So like there's a potential here, but again, it's just the timing doesn't make it look like anything more than a cash grab. It's already a narratively driven story. So it's just like why make it a movie if you're already basically playing a movie, you know?
Prove him wrong, Johnny.
Please, like no matter how much shit I talk about anything, I want each thing to be good. I love being proven wrong. Uh, yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say about that. You got anything else?
I don't think I've seen a single thing with Sydney Sweeney in it.
Oh, hold on, let's see if.
So there's that.
Oh,
No, I've already looked up her filmography.
what about Mr. John Chu?
Now him, I didn't he direct the third Star Trek movie in the Kelvin Star Trek Beyond?
Not seeing that, but let's see. He directed. He was the director of Wicked and of Crazy Rich Asians, I guess, and GI Joe Retaliation.
No, wait, I'm an idiot. He acted in those movies. He was Sulu.
Oh, yeah. I think Wicked and just a whole. There's a lot of musical stuff like Jen and the Holograms. Now You See Me Too, but we'll get to that. But yeah,
Okay,
I don't know.
moving on.
Like this is telling me it's going to be a musical, but we'll see.
I dare them.
This is something I know you're not going to know a damn thing about. Mating Season, a new show on Netflix in the same universe as Big Mouth.
Well, you see, the thing about that is,
See, here's the thing. It that your reaction is expected, and that's also why I find this fascinating. For like for the same reason that I'm just so bewildered by the popularity of something like Yellowstone, a series that I'm sorry, I've watched it with my folks. Most of the episodes are the fucking same. I'm a cowboy. There's oil. Life is hard. Fuck them liberals. There, that's 90% of the show. But um but Big Mouth, I've seen the first two seasons. They're funny. I know a lot of people that don't watch them because of how crass they are, and I know people who just think this is like child pornography or something, and they're like, no, it's not. It's really not. It's the same kind of raunchy humor as South Park, but it's more specifically focused on puberty. And yes, there's like a few quick shots where like you see like certain pieces of like adult genitalia, and like one time it's a kid. But like if you're like, here's the thing: in context, the kid gets pantsed, and you see, and it shows it almost cartoonishly. Like you don't see like veins and all realistic. Oh, look at how girthy the fight. No, that's disgusting. Like there's a lot of asterisks involved with how gross the show actually is, but it's very crass humor. But what's fascinating me about it is like I like seasons 1 and 2. I just kind of stopped watching it, but apparently like, it's gotten like 4 seasons. It's about to have season 5, and again, all of this is even though there's a lot of people that I know that do not like it, and apparently over the course of the show, people are just like meh about it. But there's like 5 seasons of it. There is the Human Resources show, which is just about the hormone monsters and all the different monsters about exist in the world. And now you have an animal focused show called Mating Season about their mating habits and shit, which is just going to be like how who it just fascinates me like where is the audience for this stuff. This isn't bad television, granted, but it's very specific humor, and I really thought that Big Mouth would be a show that would probably like end in like 3 or 4 seasons, and that's it. Like we got that little microcosm of bullshit, but it's blowing up apparently, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what can I say? An artist has a dream and maybe a nightmare or 10. They just have to tell that story.
Oh yeah, no. There is exactly one certainty with this show. Um, at least one of the 3 animals pictured here is going to be in a sex scene, and it's going to be animalistic as fuck. It's not going to be so graphic as to show the genitalia, but it's going to be super heavy implication and show the general act. That's a at least one of them. It's a if somehow they go through a season and it doesn't show any of them having sex, I will be shocked.
I mean, if there's an audience for that.
There is. It's adult humor again, like the same audience as South Park. That's why I'm just like I don't get what like I part of me doesn't get why so many people hate it, because I really do see this as the same kind of humor as some like South Park or honestly in some episodes some like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But God, so many people hate it, and yet it's blowing up, and the reviews are super positive, and people like it. And like, even I look back, it's like, yeah, no, this show's funny as hell. In a fucked up way, the shows are like really accepting about like different sexualities. Like like basically the premise being like there's a hormone monster that's just like as you go through puberty, it's the representation of like all your fears and insecurities, but all the good and the bad as it guides the kids through puberty. And while the kid's like trying to question his own sexuality, the girl was like, "Oh, what if you're gay? What? Well, do I turn gay, dude? You're either gay or you are, man. It's not a big deal. Just we're here to
Yeah.
learn." It's in a weird way how crass the show is. Like it's super like accept. That's what I said. Like that's why I think like it's. I know so many people don't like it, but yet they're popular, and I think people should like it, but they don't. And I'm surprised that the show is popular enough that it's getting another spinoff. This is the second spinoff. You know, my
Mhm.
mind is racing.
And your mind is free to race all at once. But I'm sorry, I've sat my ass on this rock and I'm not coming down from it.
It's okay. While you're sitting there, we'll watch Big Mouth season 1.
No.
Yeah, listen to Maury, the hormone monster. uh, oh well. Here we go. Here's the last piece of news. This one's also a quickie. I just included it because the sheer just information, just the quality of information is just like, really? We're going back to making this movie or these kind of movies? Fuck yeah! So there is a new Lionsgate movie. Let me see if I can pull up that article once more. There we go. Here we go. It's a survival horror movie about a rat infestation in New York going out of control. It is a swarm of killer rat movie in New York by Lionsgate.
Every time I see anything about this, my mind keeps going back to that one movie called Food of the Gods.
Yup. Oh, there's a lot of killer rat movies.
Also, the I was reading an article about it, and there's a lot of names involved in this.
Yup.
And if you look at some of the other stuff they've worked on, you just think to yourself, really? These are the guys you're gonna trust to make a killer rat movie?
Yup. This is gonna be either a dumpster fire or the best thing we've ever seen. But those
I
are the
mean,
best kind of monster movies.
it is a Lionsgate film, so
Yes.
it could go either way.
Yeah, there is no in between. This is either going to be the most boring dumpster fire of all time, or this is going to be a sleeper hit and like one of the most fucked up, scary, like killer animal movies. Like, I'm gonna keep my eye on it. I know everyone's chasing trends, and people are like, I don't know, like video games are going weird. What if we just do killer animal movies again? I I I really think that's the
What?
entire impetus behind doing that. Is they're chasing trends and just some guy who's like, hey Frank, what I've been out there, but like, what if I would have been in Killer Animals again? I mean, that was pretty popular in the '70s and '80s. We just kind of stopped for 20 years, you know?
Crazy idea. Why don't we actually try and make a good shark movie that isn't called Jaws?
No, no, that's a terrible idea. Rat movie, yeah.
I quit.
Hey, well, you add his salary to the budget. We can afford to use real rats. Yeah.
Yeah, I really doubt something like that would ever happen.
Oh no.
Look up Nezera.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
That is
Like
all kinds of bad ideas.
no. Here's the thing. If this turns out to be a complete parody, then I fully expect to see a dog in a rat costume. That's what they did for giant rats, and everyone knows
No,
it.
I know. It's still funny.
Like so many movies, it wasn't just Food of the Gods. If a movie had like a giant rodent or a giant rodent-like creature, they would just get like some dogs and put pelts on them. And if this is a parody, I want it to be as cartoonishly obvious as possible.
Or in the case of The Princess Bride, have an actual actor inside a rat suit who ended up getting arrested.
Have a
Look it
guy
up.
in like a Party City rat costume just going yeah behind the rats.
Yeah. Where's the cheese?
Yeah, yeah. Where's the cheese? Yeah, yeah. Give me that cheese. No,
But
again,
yeah,
this
killer rat
is
movie.
yeah.
I'm down.
A lot of the news is just like proof of concept stuff of just like, ooh, these are all interesting concepts. No major movie news because the market's still reacting slash preparing for, well, reacting to movies that just came out, but also preparing for Memorial Day weekend. Those the news is light for now, but trailers are not. It's time for trailers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I hope you got the memo because I added a fourth one to the list that I was completely forgot about. But we'll get there when we get there. Ah,
Pretty sure I did.
yes. Now the first one I do want to talk about. It kind of. I don't know if I would see this movie, but did you see to watch the trailer for the Smashing Machine?
Let me smash.
Let me smash.
Ye.
So I put this movie in the same vein at, excuse me, as like Iron Claw or all those sports movies.
Yeah, those seem to be having a bit of a resurgence, don't they?
Yes, I think that they're going to be like we're going to have a renaissance of sports movies, but they're not going to be about teams. They're going to be about players. That's why I think like Iron Claw was a hit, and right now the trend seems to be take an actor and make them look completely unrecognizable. Because if you like look at this picture, it takes me a second to think, oh yeah, that's The Rock.
I mean, I still kind of see it, but at the same time, it's like there's some ILM stuff going on here, and it
Oh
looks
yeah,
good.
no, like
Don't get me wrong, but still.
you still notice it, but it takes a second. That's the thing. Like nothing is gonna beat the an Iron Claw. How they got the dude from High School Musical to look like fucking He-Man from those Money Supermarket commercials. That, oh my god, it was still hilarious to me.
I still remember seeing that trailer and being like, wait, what?
Zac Efron is on steroids.
Gotta get my head in the game.
I got my Iron Claw, and now here comes the Rock. I'm gonna smash. I'm gonna smash. Also, I'm not sure about this guy's. I don't know this guy's story. I do not follow UFC in any capacity. But when I watched the trailer, one of the questions I had asked myself was like, "Does is The Rock gonna beat his wife in this movie?"
Uh, um,
It's one of those things, you know. Like, and if that's what happened in this guy's life, and they just try to depict that, like, I don't know. But like some of the ways he was talking to his wife and some of the like violent tendencies he showed, I'm just like, is that something that happens? It's like,
drama?
I don't know, man. Like, but no,
I don't either.
it looks good. Again, this is just like I don't know if this is one I would immediately go out to see. I just find it fascinating that. Well, first off, also then we're talking about A24. Like A24 is like is pulling the rug out from Hollywood, and they are just they're gonna survive. Will all the studios crumble with the current market of films? Because we got the official numbers for the box office. Snow White lost money, which is, and that's worldwide, which is huge. But now, like the trend, and then, you know, not to bring up like not to single out Disney, but there's a lot of big budget movies that are not quite hitting their mark, not quite meeting their audience. However, A24 movies, I seem to consistently hear people like, "Oh, that looks fun. Those movies are good." We saw an A24 movie recently, remember?
Yeah,
And it was good.
and more people should see it.
Yeah.
But wait till the podcast is over, then go see it.
Yes. That's fine. But for now, though, move on to the next trailer. Actually, yeah, I think I may have double tapped Hold on a second. Cycle through everything. No, I didn't. Okay. Habit, 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 habit. I didn't double tap how the game. Okay, I didn't double tap. It just had a weird effect on my screen. But anyway, move on to the next trailer. Now you see me. Now you don't. Sure.
I mean, well, the concept of these movies I find intriguing. I still have yet to see the first one.
Oh, they are they're off the wall. There is the one of the most famous scenes is them. They basically put a chip in like a playing card, and uh, they're just trying to get it through security undetected while they're being pat down, going through all of this extra bullshit. And you basically do the card's perspective while it's being tossed, hidden, and shot between all these people. And it's a cool sequence, but when you basically look at it from an outside perspective, all you're thinking is, "Motherfucker, just look to your left. They're basically passing a card like a football. How are you idiots not noticing this?" It's like the
Look,
movie.
look, clearly they don't get paid enough to care.
It's like be there no cameras. I don't know. It's the films are turn your brain off magic bank robber movies. So and I very much see the same with this one. So I mean, hey, if the other movies did well, I guess this one's gonna do fine. We saw the trailer into the theater yesterday, so I got to get another clearer look at it. I like the actors. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg is really good at playing a smug asshole. I'm pretty sure he typecasted himself after Social Network, but here we are.
Yep, unfortunately.
He's good at it. That's why so many people wanted him for Lex Luthor, even though it didn't fucking work. But hey, we're not.
Should have casted him as the Riddler.
Yeah, but uh, we're not here to talk about that today. We're talking about other stuff. But I don't have a
Yeah,
whole lot to say about this. The other two trailers, I have a bit more to say. What do you
yeah.
think?
I don't have a lot to say either. Sorry.
No, that's okay because now we can talk about one of the trailer getting a weird amount of confusion, but I don't get why. Did you see this trailer?
I saw it, and I will say this trailer really doesn't give much to go off of, but I feel like that kind of works to its benefit.
Yeah, like a lot of the negative press I'm hearing about this is like the trailer just says that all the kids like got up from her class and left, and there's like something paranormal going on, but doesn't tell us why. I was like, yeah, because that they explain that in the movie. You have to see the movie to understand why and what's going on. That's the point of a
Are,
trailer. Why are we suddenly
are you not
forgetting about this?
are you not familiar with the concept of a mystery?
Yeah, like all of a sudden at night, a whole bunch of kids just started Naruto running down the street, and
Oh my
disappeared.
god.
They were. You can't tell me they weren't. They. You know what they were. You know what they weren't running. They were Naruto frolicking down the street. That's what they were doing.
I almost took a drink and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, a bunch of kids were Naruto frolicking down the street, and it's the only thing they have in common is they're in this teacher's class. But there is one more detail that they give away in the trailer, which tells me that this is going to be a paranormal mystery more so than a traditional horror. Is that at one point they discover that every single kid also lives in a two-story house on the second floor. Like they're starting like as if they're starting to discover that the class's room is just another thing, and there's also a whole bunch of other similarities between the kids that they're missing.
Brokey.
Yeah, like it's one of those things that seems like nothing. It's like, well, why is that important? And I looked around like, did you watch the trailer? Did you not register that most of these houses are single story fucking houses? It's like what?
Clearly, well, no, we were too busy trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Right, like this is a like a paranormal mystery movie. Like I don't get like why suddenly for this movie after like years of being like, oh, trailers give away too much. This is a good trailer that sets up there's a fucked up paranormal mystery about, go see the movie to find out what, and all of a sudden it's why didn't the trailer just spell out the movie for us? What the fuck? Like I don't get it. This is a good
But,
trailer. It doesn't tell like this plot.
uh, media discourse. You love to hate it.
Yeah, it gave us one kid that looks like the Jonkler, just looking up at the at the teacher. I don't know. I had to use his image. I'm pretty sure I like just flipped a coin on Friday. It's like it's either this or the Naruto frolicking down the street. What is one of those two images, and I just it landed on this one. I wonder if that's going to be a viral trend of people frolicking in mass out of school.
On the one hand, it'd be funny. On the one hand, I kind of hope it isn't.
It might. I said that as a joke, but I could totally see like a classroom or just like a whole but a problematic classroom is just like, yo, I saw this movie. What if one day in the middle of like recess or some shit, we all just kind of got together and just ran like this down the street and then just started hanging out at the GameStop or some shit, man. Just freak the fuck out of our teachers and parents. Yo, like that's one of those another one of those things where there's a non-0% chance that that could happen. You know I am right.
But I'll never admit to it.
Oh, that's okay. But you must admit to it. You must.
Uh-uh.
Oh, that's okay. Well, we could talk about the other trailer instead with Predator Badlands,
Yes.
the Predator movie everyone's excited for.
And they're also saying that this predator looks too human.
It's a fledgling predator. Also, the predators were already humanoid. What?
Yeah, that's what I'm not getting. It's like, have you not been paying attention?
Okay, here's the thing. I will grant that my problem isn't that he looks too human. Is that part of the skin looks too smooth? But like, because you know how a lot of the predators have like those weird horns under the dreadlocks and like those like quills and spines. So it not having that kind of was weird. But then someone said, "Oh no, that's because it's a fledgling predator going through its hunting trials." Like, oh, okay, so it's young, cool.
Right. This is a younger Yautja.
Yeah, like they could have portrayed that fact better in the trailer, but they made that knowledge easily accessible. So I understand why if that's the thing that bugs people, I understand it, but I do disagree with it generally. It's like this that's one of those things like, oh no, it's actually just a younger Yacha, and if people are still just like, yeah, they made it too human, they're butts. They just want to complain for the sake of complaining.
Indeed. And but also in terms of things people were quick to point out, the the woman shown in the trailer is a android from the Wayland Yutani group
Interesting.
from the Alien series.
Alien
So,
versus Predator is back, baby.
and it's already looking like a better crossover than Aliens versus Predator Requiem.
Hey, the first Alien versus Predator is still goaded, dude.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not goated. I'm just saying sequel's kind of bad.
Oh no, the sequel's dog shit. But like yes, the alien's gonna go to the maternity ward and impregnate all the women. I just
And
Did he just bring a bunch of eggs with her? No. Then how does it
well,
kill?
I probably could tell you if I could actually see what's going on.
Does it kill the women? No. How? Like everything the predator, it's a pred alien. That doesn't matter. The xenomorph biology overwrites that. Like, it shouldn't like suddenly affect like how it acts compared to every other movie. But no, we're not talking about AVP Requiem and the
We're talking about movies that actually look good.
yes,
Um,
like how they made the Predator look African. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. No,
bruh.
I'm kidding. I saw that comment in the trailer, and I'm just like, I, you're not. Mm.
You need to shut up.
You're not wrong. However,
So
not.
anyway, I do hope this movie focuses primarily on this Yautja here.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's gonna be like, I think this movie is going to be like Prey, where it's going to generally follow this protagonist and that android, with the android doing most of the talking, and a lot of the
Right.
scenes being very quiet. It's just like subtle communication between the two. Like to compare it to the first Alien versus Predator, like those kick-ass scenes where like that one lady was working with the Predator and they had like the little bits of communication where he was just using hand gestures and quick demonstrations to explain like, hey, this is how this works, resistant to this, press this, boom, or just like all these little hand gestures, no words, just like few
Yeah.
clicks. Yeah, I think this movie is going to be a lot of that and a lot of action.
So yeah, looking forward to this movie. And also, I greatly approve of the song choice for this trailer. Like if you've never heard of Mongolian throat singing, you're missing out.
I just know I've only played Ghost of Tsushima and heard it in the background, and I've heard Butcherson do that. His jokes, Mongolian throat singing, that just sounds like.
Oh, yeah, I can't do it like the Who can.
Gotta just like your mouth and just like really grind it out. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I'm croaking now, but that's all I got to say about that. But before we get to our main event, let's talk about some
Oh boy.
new and recent films. We're also about to go into an ad break, so we'll use the next few minutes in this ad break to talk about something that we saw recently. Well, it's gonna be an ad break on Twitch, but it'll be uninterrupted. So yeah, we'll talk about. We recently saw the Thunderbolts asterisk.
Yes, that is its full title.
You got to include the asterisk. It's important, and I not to go into detail, but I appreciate that a lot of people, when talking about it, keep resorting to it as Thunderbolts asterisk instead of like just Thunderbolts, or like going into other things that are in the movie, just Thunderbolts asterisk. I greatly appreciate that. Good on you, reviewers. It's the little things, you know?
Indeed.
This movie was dog shit. No, it wasn't dog shit. It was really good.
I thoroughly enjoyed Therapy, the movie.
Yeah, that's one thing that really caught me off guard. Thunderbolts, obviously it's an MCU action movie, but there's a lot of it's a therapy movie. Like there's a lot of drama and interpersonal relationships. One thing I kind of but this morning and last night after the movie, I was kind of watched a few reviews and I got to gauge some thoughts to help kind of formulate my own thoughts about the movie. And there were things I noticed coming out of the theater, and without going into spoilers, I do think there are two and a half major missteps this movie does that I think keep it from being one of the best Marvel movies ever, but end up with something really, really damn good. One is a certain character, something happens to a certain character early in the movie, and it felt off.
Yeah, that's one of my complaints as well.
Like the
Some of
time,
y'all may know what we're talking about.
it's not hard to discern because everyone's watched the trailer kind of had the theory that that would happen. It just the way it happened, the timing it happened, it just felt really off. Like nothing, nothing felt right about it. But the other side of it that is uh, I don't know one of the villains, one of the two, and this is the half complaint. I don't think was fleshed out enough. They were plenty fleshed out, but they go through a few changes throughout the movie. And some of the personality jumps are believable, but some of them are like, okay, we're doing this now. I think more time with them or more a more in-depth look on them specifically would have been a bit warranted. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
Uh, I'll tell you after I'm trying to avoid going into details. That's the half because I do think they were explored greatly. It's just like that little bit more, that little bit more, just that little bit more.
Uh-huh.
The the other um one that I do see as a major misstep is very much the ending. I like the ending. I didn't love the ending, and it just feels like a misstep because certain key factors I felt like were going a completely different direction than what they were doing. And I'm just wondering, like, well, why didn't this person do this certain thing? That's weird. And that's probably a good way to put it. It's like it's a good movie with a lot of moments that just make you go, well, that's kind of weird, kind of dumb. Oh well.
Right, but at the same time, it's really good too.
Yeah, no, it's very good. One thing I do like, I'm trying to avoid going into spoilers, but there is some means that you get to see certain characters' backstories or certain characters' uh, trauma. I like that we don't see everybody's, and but to an extent, like, and actually, there's one I think we just saw too much of. If I'm being honest, but like I don't mind not seeing everyone's because like there's only one character that we need to like really empathize with since they're the main star of the show. One character that we need to see a little bit of so we have more context since they were a major player in the shows. And the others, like we don't need to see a lot of detail. We just need them to reestablish themselves into the series. So we don't need to
Right,
go into
because
super detail about them.
yeah, we already know what their deals are, but at the
Like,
same time, we gotta kind of catch up with what they've been up to since we've seen them.
yeah, we just didn't. So I'm glad that we did give us like a super detailed look. I like that about the movie. It's like let's say there's two villains in the movie. One with powers, one without. Let's say that to help discern them. The one without the powers, I don't think we should have seen their full backstory. I think it should have cut off much sooner.
Okay, yeah.
Like it just felt like, why are we suddenly empathizing with this person? Because it's not like
They
they're redeeming themselves, right?
they have been very much a not nice person the whole time we've seen them. I kind of want there to be consequences to their actions.
If anything, it would have been better as a further showcase of the method in which they do it, is if we basically see the stairwell and then it cuts to the real world to see how she is reacting to this. So then the audience can then see this is what a person looks like when they're under that influence, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a better insight, like a better showcase for the audience, but also in a way a more in-depth look on the other villain and how they what happens in their mind, what happens with them when when they do this to people. Like like if I were to change one moment, like I can't, obviously I would change a few things in the movie, but if I were to just say change one moment to have the biggest impact, that would be it to me. Because everything else is like kind of like it's dumb, but like changing it around to fit things that make it objectively better don't make the hugest impact on the movie as a whole, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. You got any thoughts, last thoughts on it before we move on to our main event?
Well, I will just say I like the mix of more grounded, gritty, and over the top, crazy action scenes in the movie. All of our principal actors are great. Florence Pugh absolutely steals the show,
She did her
and
own
I love
stunts.
that. Hell yeah. Also, they kept hyping up that thing she does, and I purposely went out of my way to avoid watching that behind the scenes stuff. Says no, 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 no. If I'm gonna watch this, I'm gonna watch this on the big screen first,
Yep.
and I'm glad I did.
Indeed.
How about yourself?
I'm glad I saw it on the big screen. I gotta go through it. I'm saving my movie tickets. I should have enough to see Lilo and Stitch, but that's not a here nor there. No, I'm glad I saw that in the big screen. And not to go into spoilers, but I love the after credit scenes. Both of them.
Yes.
There's two. Watch both of them. One's hilarious. One's awesome. I've heard an argument that the second one goes on too long, and I want to slap the person who said that.
Nice opinion. Did a YouTuber give it to you?
Nice opinion. What's it feel like to be wrong? Also, I want a taco shield. If you know, you know.
I hope they never fix it.
No, they won't. And I love that it's implied that a lot of because it is very much implied a lot of people could fix it. It's implied that technically, if Bucky, and Red Guardian work together, they could fix it, but they don't because they're stupid and and other people aren't going to help them because they're assholes.
Yeah, yeah. They're either assholes about it or they just don't want to because they think it's funny.
Okay. And if he's like, "Are you sure he's stupid?" It's like, they're dealing like, no, no. Just think about the line in the after credit scene. Just the way Elena looked at this character. That doesn't tell you. how obliviously stupid this one person is. I don't know what will. Like, but no, like, it is old school Marvel, just a group of plucky, know nothing superheroes ish, trying to save the day and fulfill their own goals. It's very straightforward. I like it for the same reason I really like Blue Beetle. With that, it's
All
about
right.
time for the Star Wars Kino Tier List. Are you
Here's where the
ready?
fun.
Yeah, this is where the
Here's where the
fun.
fun begins.
This is where the fun begins, Griffin. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I think so.
Uh, be you ready for the bullshit? All right.
I'm not
Well,
ready for bullshit.
all right. Let's.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna say off the bat, I don't think any of Star Wars is bullshit,
All right.
and I'm probably not gonna rate anything below a C.
Well, that's where you're wrong. Because in the Kino corner, we had the most correct opinion. Star Wars: A New Hope is where we're starting. Get that shit in D tier. No.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
No. Okay. I'm gonna do this as close to release order as I can. I think I got it close. There's probably a few discrepancies because of seasons, but it's one of
Let's
those
see.
I don't care. Like so, I guess we'll start with the movies. I'm more worried about release order because it kind of affects how I feel about them. But to start with A New Hope, I didn't okay to understand something. I saw A New Hope as a kid, but I didn't really fully watch it enough to appreciate that troll trilogy until after I had watched Attack of the Clones. So like I'd seen it as a kid, but I didn't retain it until I watched Attack of the Clones and I watched it again. So this might affect one decision, but one thing to me that is true, I think A New Hope is like a no debate easy S tier. What do you think about that?
If that's how you feel.
Now, I don't feel like that about the other two. We'll get there. I think A New Hope does one thing the other two don't. It's much, and remember, like, where would you rate it?
Uh, well, I don't know if I could quite give it S tier. I want to, but I feel more comfortable giving it like a high A.
I want to get.
And that
Yeah,
you go ahead.
I was say like I want to give it. It might be on the low end of S tier, and there's the reason I'm giving this an S more so than the others. We'll get to them. Is unlike New Hope and Empire, or not New Hope, Empire and Return of the Jedi. Blah, 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 like one of the of this movie, it's very cut and dry. The events of this movie, they both feel like the start of something big, but its own self-contained story. Like they were telling a story about a plucky little kid learning about the ways of the world and ways of the universe, coming to terms with being a Jedi, losing his mentor, etc. And it wasn't until the other movies that things kind of blew up. So I want to take this by its looking at it as the trilogy, but also in its own merits. I think of the three originals, this one works the best on its own. That's why I think I would personally put it in the S rank in the low S tier. But but like as far as quality, it's probably not my favorite of the original trilogy. That's how I feel. What do you think? Why would you give it an A tier?
Well, I'm basically looking at all these movies, how they rack up against the other movies in the saga.
Yeah.
And I agree that while it does work as its own standalone science fiction or space opera film, I I am sorry. I still have to look at it the way I mentioned before, and I feel the most comfortable giving it like A plus or something.
Yeah. Like I'll leave it
Like
at the bottom of S tier for now because like I said it's gonna be bottom. There's other movies I like more. So that being said, Empire Strikes Back. Where would you put it?
for me, I put Empire at S.
You're gonna hate me for this.
All right.
Okay, no. Here's the thing. I'm I'm willing to do an S, but between the next two films, to me, it depends on how you feel. One is S, one is A, and the whole reason that is because I'm noticing it's not just as part of the series, but as standalone movies. And the Empire Strikes Back, especially ending in a cliffhanger, felt like the prenup for Return of the Jedi. You know what? Hold on. You know there is something Return of the Jedi. How about this? S tier right below New Hope. How about that?
Acceptable.
Because there. So that being said, to jump ahead a little bit, Return of the Jedi I would put at A. It's it very much feels like it couldn't exist without Empire, and Empire feels like it's like intentionally more worried about leading into Return of the Jedi than them being their own things. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So like I think it
But
holds at least one of them back. So yeah, that's my stand. What do you think? Like where would you put Return?
I would give Return of the Jedi an A rank as well. Um, I I do prefer Empire over it just because of the stakes of that movie and how it presented itself.
Yeah.
While Return of the Jedi is still a fantastic film, it feels like a bit of a come down from the emotional ride that was Empire.
It also like skipped a few stuff. And that's why I ultimately decided that one needs to be the A. Just I was like, you know what? Yeah, no, this needs to be A because that intro scene, how quickly they get Han Solo back, it does do a lot to remove at least some of the tension built up in Empire. So it's less, which then raises the point like, well, why did one even have to lead up to the other? You know.
Hmm.
Which that being said, no, I mean the Sarlacc pit and everything on Jabba's palace was still fun. It's just there's a and the other side of this coin is how you feel about Return of the Jedi is going to hinge on how you feel about Ewoks. I don't mind them; they're whatever.
I
If
like the Ewoks.
if the Ewok movies, I remember to put those on here. Spoiler alert: I put them both at B tier. They're fine.
Yeah.
But no,
I
that's
haven't seen either Ewok movies.
mhm. They are interesting. The first one is better. The first one, there's two. The first one is more of like a traditional adventure film starring Ewoks, and it's fun. But no, before we get derailed, uh, yep, there's the next in line. Oh, actually, wait. So, are we okay with that? New Hope and Empire S tier, Return of the Jedi A tier. It's like a little held back with how it connects to everything, but still a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no,
I mean, if you're expecting me to force choke you for your opinions, I'm not gonna. Just so you know.
well, I know one person wants me to. I know multiple people who have opinions that want me to put these next three movies in certain places. I do think I'm going to end up putting each of them in a different rank. but I might make some enemies here. Phantom Menace. Hmm. Gonna make some enemies. Gonna make some enemies. Gonna make
Do it.
some enemies, but I don't give a shit. Duel of the Fates was awesome.
Really?
Dude, the first one is S tier. The first one is good. You know what? No, no, okay. No. The Anakin actor's got top of A tier. That there. I am more comfortable there. It's a good movie. Phantom Menace isn't as bad as people want to remember. It's a 2000 Star Wars movie in the most fun way possible. What were you expecting? Duel of the Fates was awesome. Gave us a lot of hint into like the Clone Wars and started. It felt fresh. I the only things that are keeping it from S tier is honestly like the stuff with Anakin and Watto. Some of it feels a bit and Jar Jar and Jar Jar. Sometimes Jar Jar can be a little cringy, but I don't hate Jar Jar as much as the internet does.
Mm. Look, if they actually bother to sit down and watch Phantom Menace, Jar Jar is nowhere near as annoying as they make him out to be,
No, he's
and
not.
I will die on that hill.
No, he's annoying sometimes. Here's the thing. Jar Jar in Phantom Menace is exactly as, if not just a tad bit more annoying than Donkey from Shrek 1.
But people like Donkey.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you compare their humor, it's the same. So like Jar Jar isn't as bad, but he is the thing that holds it back a bit. Like he's one of the, just like how Return of the Jedi has like a few story hiccups that prevent it from being S tier. Phantom Menace is a good movie, but it has a few things that few little things here and there. The Jar Jar, some of the stuff with young Anakin and how awkward he is around. Uh, it kind of pulls it from being as good as it can be. It's better in my mind. It's better than where we remember it. It is. Phantom Menace, at least, is a good movie. Where would you put it? Are you okay with it being A tier?
Hey, you're free to make your own choice on that.
Well, I had you here because
This
I want
this
your
is
opinion.
this uh okay, like I said before, I don't hate any Star Wars movie. I do enjoy Phantom Menace, but at the same time, it does do some things like the acting, the slower pace. I would probably put it in a B.
A B. I respect that. I encourage you to watch it again. Like it's schlocky and schmaltzy, but
I,
here's
I
yeah.
oh, trust me, I've watched this movie multiple times, and my opinion has only changed like a small amount on it.
Yeah.
But like you said, Duel of the Fates is amazing.
Yeah.
And to me, the prequels only get better as they go along.
Ooh. Okay. I think there's a dip. We're gonna have a little bit of a disagreement here. A
Hmm.
little bit. On only one of the movies. On only one of the movies. Maybe.
Hmm. We'll see about that.
So, Attack of the Clones. I want to like this movie more than I do. I think the coolest parts of this movie, I think in a way, it has similar problems to Empire, where it basically was obviously like a lead up to something. Like this is gonna come up again, and it's gonna be talking points with Last Jedi, but the middle movie of the trilogy always has a growing pains issue. because it has to be the connecting thread between the first and the last movie, and these are now hardlock planned into trilogies. Attack of the Clones does good for what it is. It does good at establishing like a certain like character dynamics. It did a great job at establishing how Obi-Wan and Anakin got along together, and just for that heartbreak in Revenge of the Sith. And me being a creature nut, I love the arena scene. I love the everything there.
Yeah,
But
the entire arena scene to the start of the Clone Wars is one of the most goated moments of that movie.
yes, it is. So I don't think it's better than Phantom Menace. I think Phantom Menace was basically like a breath of fresh air, and Attack of the Clones was the next good step, but it's far from like you could play. There's like a bit of like dry moments and awkward acting. That I feel is more prevalent in the first half of Attack of the Clones, like much more than it is in Phantom Menace, and I think that holds it back greatly. Like it's an awkward movie that's like just kind of held back a bit. I would put it in B plus personally. I would be willing to negotiate an A minus, but this one I would do B minus or B plus. It's good. I I would watch it again, but like again if I'm trying to look at this like as the trilogy, but as a standalone movie as well. I'm trying to factor in both of these. And you think it gets better as you go along. So I assume you put Attack of the Clones like high A.
Well, no, it's still a B plus,
Still
like
B
just
plus,
above Phantom Menace.
just above Phantom. Okay, so you actually agree with me that Attack of the Clones is a B plus movie.
Right.
Okay,
But like I said, I feel like the acting has improved and it has a lot more balance of the dramatic and the action scenes to it.
yes, okay, that's the one I was
And
worried about. I thought you were going to tell me Attack of the Clones is like an A tier movie. It's like, it's like that's going to be awkward.
I mean, a lot of it is A tier material,
But it's it's
but
weighed
it
down a bit.
indeed. And believe it or not, I will defend Hayden Christensen's acting to an extent because if you actually think about his character and what he's been through, it just makes sense, you know?
I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
He, he's an awkward young adult. What do you want him to say?
Anything else? Okay, look, I don't think that that line is the. I know that's the line people lean on, and I think you're right. I don't think to use that line as the catalyst to discuss like the aired acting in that movie. I don't think the problem was the actor. I don't think the problem was him saying that line. In a weird way, I think that it was a mix between like maybe they could have wrote something better for him to say, but the way they had him say it felt less like awkward young adult and more it felt like he was just going through the motions like, oh, like sand. Like it seems like more of a not a Hayden Christensen problem, not an acting problem, but just I don't know, maybe give him another take, maybe have him say a different line because he's doing the best he can with what you're clearly telling him to do. You know?
Right, but there's a couple things to keep in mind about that. One, George Lucas has admitted that he is not really the best when it comes to dialogue, but he at least tries his best.
Yeah.
And two, if you listen to his speech patterns and compare them with how James Earl Jones acted as Darth Vader, you start to get a sense of a correlation between the two.
A bit, but I do think that correlation is more prevalent in in the Revenge of the Sith. 100%. Where would you put Revenge
So
of the Sith?
personally, I think I put Revenge of the Sith in S tier above Empire.
Really? Because I agree.
Yep, it.
I,
Oh, okay.
I
So,
I had a feeling we wouldn't disagree on that. Like I knew all three of the original trilogy would be in a different spot for me. I think Attack of the Clones is the weakest, but just because it kind of lulls a little bit. I think Phantom Menace is better than people remember it. But the culmination of these three movies, Revenge of the Sith, and how neatly it closes off that trilogy while connecting it to episodes 4 through 6 is wonderful. You know what I mean?
uh, yeah, I still remember the first time I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I had just graduated freshman year of high school, went to see it with my best friend at the time.
Yes.
That was a wonderful day.
I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, like the biggest joke line about the it you get from it is like, "I have the high ground. Don't try. You're the
Oh,
chosen one."
oh, how soon we forget. Hello there.
I love that. General Kenobi. Okay, that's the
General Kenobi.
okay. Grievous is if Grievous wasn't as awesome as he was, I would fight to put Revenge of the Sith in A tier because how almost underutilized Grievous was I feel is like the main one big hindrance on Revenge of the Sith. You know?
I mean, I would feel the same way if I hadn't already watched the Gendy Tartakovsky Clone Wars series before this.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Almost like he's used just enough in the movie, but he could be used more. And if they used him a little bit differently, he would have been the stain that kept Revenge from S tier, in my opinion. They did just enough to keep him okay. But oh man, speaking of Clone Wars, so it's not on here, but I wanted to put Clone Wars on twice. I couldn't find a good poster to use. So there's two Clone Wars I want to talk about. First is the actual the Genndy Tartakovsky animated one, the hand drawn. That's S tier. I don't think that's up for debate. The series is goat. That's not on here, but like for those watching, just put it like right above, up, you know what, top of S tier. It's goaded. Now, Clone Wars, the other Clone Wars, the CG one, that the long running series. That one is a bit different because there's a lot going on with that. I would personally put it at the tippy top of A. Personally, what do you think?
Uh, Clone Wars is an A for me. Um, but mind you, this is a 7 season series with a bunch of episodes.
Yes.
A lot are good, some are okay, but for what we do have, this is probably one of the greatest animated shows I've ever seen, and it has only helped me appreciate the prequels a lot more.
Yeah. It it relies on but enhances the prequels and realistically like we if I were to judge this season by season there'd be a bunch of S's, a few A's. I think there might be one I put in like B or C. Like but if you culminate everything together, I think A plus is the best way to put it because we're not judging it season by season. I'm doing like the CG Clone Wars as a whole. How does it generally stack up? How good is it generally? How good does it compare to everything else? I, and yeah, no, I think I'm okay with this layout as of right now, like because it's a long running series. Speaking of long running series that I've only heard good things about, but I've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes, so I'm going to kind of rely on
Oh,
you for this. What's up?
actually, before we get to that, I don't think I said where I would put the Tartakovsky Clone Wars series, and I'm having a really hard time figuring that out.
Really? Because that's an easy S tier for me.
Uh, I would say give it, for me at least, tentative A, but
Tentative A.
below Filoni's Clone Wars.
Really? Oh, okay. So,
Just because of what it brings to the series as a whole.
yeah. All right.
Because yeah,
That's okay. Well, mine
a
is
lot
S
of that stuff you can still take as canon to the franchise overall, but a lot of it's kind of dubious. But I can still look back on it and be like, yeah, this is peak Star Wars stuff.
yeah. But to move on, I'm going to rely a bit on your opinion for this because I've only seen a few episodes, and what I saw was fine. Is that Star Wars Rebels?
Uh, well, you're not alone in that opinion because Star Wars Rebels does have kind of a rough start.
Like, based on what
It,
I saw, I would put it here. B minus is where I'd put it.
hmm, well, rough start, but it does start to find its identity in the middle of its first season. And from there, barring a few, not necessarily filler episodes, but more disconnected from the major plot as a whole episodes, I it it's below the Clone Wars, but still an A.
Okay. So I'll defer your judgment. Like this is based on what I have seen. I have not seen all of it. There's nothing particularly awful about that. I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of C or D. I don't even know if I'm going to have a D tier or below. I'm going to have a few C tiers. But uh I was able to get there. But I guess going down the list here, The Force Awakens. Okay, it's not an S tier movie. However, comma, it's an A tier movie. It's just below Phantom Menace in my eye. What do you think?
I mean, I think, uh, well,
It's got a few writing hiccup. It's got a few kind of just all over the place moments.
and I am aware of that, but I have it in A tier as well. But this is the hardest one I've had to rank so far because I keep flip flopping whether or not I like it more than A New Hope, but not more than Return of the Jedi. And that's only because of the nature of Star Wars being a long running series. You're gonna like some things more than others,
Yeah,
but Force Awakens is an excellent movie.
yeah. I'm gonna move Return of the Jedi back a little bit because it's no, no, yeah, no, no, yeah. I'm happy with this. It's
So,
tentatively at the bottom of it for me. That's only because I personally like Phantom Menace a tiniest bit more. Like with Force Awakens, I know one complaint that kind of fell by the wayside is people said like it's retreading old ground, but I think with this movie specifically, it was expected and it was meant to set up a new status quo. So to that end, it's fine. So I don't mind them rehashing old like ideas and plot points to set up new characters. Like stick with what we know that's familiar to establish a new group of kids. And
I mean, Star Wars does that all the time.
yeah, I do, just like with the original with episodes 1 through 3. I think all three of these movies in the new trilogy are going to be in a different position. They don't get better. But it's going to bounce a bit. It's not one that it clearly gets worse or one that it clearly gets better. It's just it's going to bounce a little bit. But to stick with
I mean,
Force,
they are for me.
um, with Force with Force Awakens. First off, you had the shocking moment during Starkiller Base. It part of me wants to spoil it. Part of me wants to, it's the statute of limitations on spoilers is so far long past. When Kylo Ren unalives Han Solo. Spoiler warning. Shocking as fuck.
Yes.
Like, it was a generally good movie. That shocking moment, I think, is what's really elevating it beyond. And you know what? There. More than Phantom Menace. A little higher in A tier. It's a solid A. It's not an A minus. It keeps it good, keeps it fresh. It got me excited for the new series, and I was happy to see Rey. The other side of it, why I know there's a lot of discourse about it, and generally I agree, the marketing in this movie made it seem like Finn was going to be the Jedi and the main character, and he wasn't. And that is shit marketing. Like, you gotta call it for what it is. It it set an expectation for the movie, and I think that was one of a lot of factors that went into what changed the later films. Speaking of, okay, well, we'll do The Last Jedi in a bit, but Rogue One, okay.
Oh, right.
Little break. Rogue One, this one is also an easy A for me. I liked it a little more than Force Awakens entirely because of that last scene with Darth Vader. If you know, you know. The space battle at the end, the scene with Darth Vader, like just mwah. A good moment can only carry it so far, and there were good characters in the movie. It's just they weren't carrying it at. Uh, they felt more. There were times where these people felt more like archetypes than characters. Not all the time. The main girl didn't, but there were some times that people around her I kind of generally kind of forgot who they were. You know.
Uh-huh.
So like, I think if the characters were better defined, like, because let's be real, like, you know what characters you remember from Rogue One? You remember the main girl. You remember the super awesome kung fu Jedi. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. And you remember the robot. We are here to liberate you. Congratulations. Just like those are the characters you really remember. Everyone else is kind of like, if you're not a Star Wars fan, like a super Star Wars diehard, you're not going to really know Lightyear just by name. And I think that does the film a disservice. And not enough point was given to care enough about us. That's what's keeping it from S tier. That's gonna happen. I think A tier is gonna be the most popular. Like, these are films that are like almost great, but are held back by something. Something that like only a few movies have had that spark. So, in my opinion,
I would give Rogue One an A2.
yeah,
It's a a very well made film. Not it's very unlike a lot of the other films because of its more grounded, less mythical approach to Star Wars.
Yeah, I it's a
Um,
necessary film. I feel like this is the film that show people like, hey, like it's okay to branch off and tell other stories. I think without Rogue One, there really wouldn't have be that renaissance of shows for good and bad that we got after the fact. But we'll get all to all that.
mhm. I mean, maybe some of the characters could have used a bit more fleshing out,
Right. I'm not saying they're
but
bad. It's just they're kind of there comes a point where they're just kind of there, and there's and like they're we're it just it's a very
but
noticeably weak element in an otherwise great movie.
right. And I mean, you know what this movie's about, so already you're going in with the expectations of these characters probably aren't going to show up again later on.
Exactly.
So could they have been a bit more? Sure, but at the same time what we got is serviceable.
We got a serviceable, but because they didn't put in that extra care, it felt like it's just like, hey, you know, these characters are gonna die. Who cares? Let's just go through the motions. I don't want to feel like that. I want to be sad that these characters are gonna die. I want to, and honestly, at the end, I had a little bit of hope that they might make it out, that they might be main players and just kind of appear in the Resistance and in the Last Jedi or something. And these are like
And then
suddenly,
the
yeah,
and then the Death Star shows up and you're just like, "Oh, oh no."
yeah. That's what I was saying. Like it was almost it is almost there. It almost hit those heights. Almost. One movie I don't think hit the heights though was Last Jedi. Okay. I'm gonna acknowledge the main
This
problem with the new trilogy is there's a writer's room problem. There is a lot of writers with a lot of different ideas with conflicting each other between movies, and it shows. And it shows the hardest in The Last Jedi. Oh my god. The Last Jedi took the decisions from The Force Awakens in a direction that I'm not sure the writer of The Force Awakens wanted to go, but they had to fix that shit to the best they could. I'm gonna be nice and give it a C tier, but it is of the main nine movies, it's my least favorite.
well now.
Really,
See see here's where you probably want to get your lightsaber out because I put the Last Jedi in an S tier.
really.
Yes, I I have heard many an argument as to why this film has worked or hasn't worked for most people. I have thought about it, watched the movie numerous times, and I just don't agree with a lot of the negative backlash. Everything that happened in the movie, it does make sense to me.
Well,
And even with the little flaws I do have, it doesn't stop me from enjoying it.
I get that. The problem isn't the movie itself, and it's well, part of it is I think a lot of the with the love and hate is going to come from how you feel about the Casino Planet, and I am kind of neutral on that, but I acknowledge that we may have spent too much time on Casino Planet, but
I
the
mean, maybe.
that's one thing that if I were to like really look at this again, I might put this as high as a B, maybe an A. But the other side of it, from for my money, is that The Force Awakens was taking this series in a direction. There was a very clear direction on how it went. The first thing, like how it starts, um, where they had to find Luke Skywalker. Just how it starts, and he just kind of. I love the beginning of this movie. I'm just gonna say it right now. I love the beginning. I love all the interactions between Rey and Luke.
Hmm.
And and I know you disagree about this, I don't agree at all. Like how all over the place and spastic they were with the relation between Kylo Ren and Rey. Like they spent so much time across two movies building up there was something important about Rey's heritage and her connection to Kylo Ren. Now this is more of a third movie problem, but this movie kind of locked in a few choices about that that I think had a more consequential decision making venture. That's that I don't agree with. I really think with the clues from the first one and everything we learned that there's two avenues they were supposed to do with Ray. One is the one they kind of went with is that Ray was a nobody. That there was no important heritage. But if that's true, she would not supposed to be have this link to Kylo Ren. There was never supposed to be something. But then they kept it like, oh, but what if they were related? Like, what if they did a thing? Like, they kept egging on that there was like something important, and then they dropped it. Even if like and I know you've told me that it holds better the message that anybody can become a Jedi. That's true, but then they why have the link with Kylo Ren at all? Like why just spend so much time building Chekhov's gun for one thing just to ignore it completely? Objectively speaking, I think that it was a mishandled trope, a mishandled use of Rey that like it just made her in making her try to be as unique as possible. I fear this movie like locked her into being kind of a Mary Sue. And it that's what I say. Like you could tell, like this the general writing styles. Like it, I think the third movie is better. I do. I think the third movie is definitely not as bad as people want to remember, despite all the cringy shit in it, despite the horseback space battle. Like this movie, it made some decisions, man, and I feel like it betrayed a lot of what the Force Awakens was trying to establish, but it still makes sense and it still is fine on its own. But then when you look at everything from the outset, if judging movie by movie, I understand your perspective. I understand that like The Last Jedi on its own, there's a lot of good in it. If I were to judge this in a microcosm right after I saw this, I'd probably put it in A or S too. And this is a C rank. That's not me saying this is a god awful movie. My version of C rank is like I have neutral feelings on this movie. Like everything I see is good and everything I see is bad, even out. I am neutral on this. That's what a C rank is. Like I'm neutral on this movie. Like B rank isn't bad. B rank is I still generally like these things. They're just not great. A C rank is take it or leave it. I I think they just made some lasting decisions that I cannot ignore if I am to accurately rate this movie. If I
Hmm.
if I want to judge these not just as a piece of the trilogy, how they impact the trilogy, but I want to judge these as films. I want to look at these behind the scenes. I want to look at like was a lot of care. Unfortunately for the new trilogy, the undeniable fact is there was different writers and different directors and just different crews on all three movies, and you could tell with just how everything was written, how everything presented itself, it showed. And this movie being, and like I said before with like Empire and Empire Strikes Back and Clone Wars had both had the problem where because they had everyone knew this was going to be a trilogy. So the middle movie has the tough job of they need to continue the first one, lead into the third one, be its own story. And it couldn't quite stick that landing to me. It didn't feel like it was properly acknowledging the first one, but it also didn't feel like it knew what it was leading to. It just felt like it was just doing things for the sake of doing things, you know?
I guess.
And I do understand why you put it in S tier. I don't want to sit here and pretend there's not great things in this movie. Like I know I say they spent too much time on the casino planet, but it's fun, and I'm glad we got Finn. And all the hate that one actress got for the thing is abhorrent. She did fine. I don't know. I if I'm gonna be nice, I would give it a B, but I want to be fair, and my personal stance is it's a C rank movie. But plead your case. Why is this S tier?
Well, I I don't want to get too much into the political internet mouthpiece side of the Star Wars thing, but even putting that aside, I've always appreciated it when a movie takes whatever expectations I might have about it and goes in another direction because we could sit here for hours trying to figure out what's going to happen, and the detriment to that sometimes is that it does happen and it's less surprising. And the directions this movie took with the characters and the actions, I'm just like, okay, where are we going with this?
You know what? Here's I'm gonna be a little nice. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B tier, and it's only because of the Star Destroyer scene.
With the dreadnought.
Yeah, because that one made me just oh, like that was a good scene. However, you cannot convince me that purple haired woman's doing the right choice here. Oh my god, Poe Dameron was right on everything he fucking said. I don't care how
No, he
much.
wasn't.
Yes, he was. I don't care how much you or Leia or her want to gaslight him. He was true. Everything he said was right, and every piece of information with the information he had. And if they knew something, they should have told him because he was the leader of the fucking pilots that were risking their lives. Piss poor
He
management.
was committed.
His poor management on especially the purple haired girl. She could be a martyr all she wants. Yes. Ah. It's not a good reason. She couldn't have just told him, like, listen, we're trying to do something. This out of comms. Could they not trust him?
No, they couldn't.
Ugh.
But I'm not going to fight with you about it.
I feel like with how much we are shown, I don't see a reason that we could trust Poe Dameron any less than the purple haired woman or Leia. Like that's one of those things. It's just we have the luxury of seeing it from the outside perspective. It just if you want to show that like, oh, Leia trusts this person, all they did was say, Leia trusts this person. Why? Like why? Well, give us a reason. It bugs me so much. Just anyway, Solo. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's nothing great. Doesn't really add that much to the greater Star Wars galaxy as a whole. But if you're looking for a good heist movie, this is it.
Yeah. It's a fun little adventure. Nothing more. I
Go
honestly don't have a
go.
whole lot to say about this one. I know people are a little uppity, but Han Solo technically, I do think it's a funny little note that technically Han Solo didn't do the Kessel run. It was the AI that did it. It's like you're not.
No, she didn't. She merely charted the course. Han very much did the flying. Okay. This is the same thing. No, this is like the same thing I have to tell people who claim to have watched Rogue One and are still under the impression that the exhaust port was the weakness that Galen Erso added. It's not. It was the unstable reactors the Death Star was using. He was just like, you need to figure out how to exploit that very specific weakness that I added by finding the plans.
Yeah. No, like it was very. I know I've seen that theory and I find it funny. I do agree that it was basically just.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's okay to be angry. Like I was just got angry with the Last Jedi. Like I don't. I like the movie. I don't love it. But
I
Solo,
know.
it's. I agree that the AI was literally just the equivalent of a GPS, and I think it takes some of the credit for making the course clear. But yes, it was a bipartisan effort, but Han Solo still actually was the pilot, so he technically did do the Kessel Run.
Also, Donald Glover as Lando is fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, Donald Glover is a great fucking actor. Ooh, before we get to the next two, because I have the next few are gonna be a little more positive. Before we get to that, Star Wars Resistance. I don't even know what that is.
Haven't seen it.
I, it wasn't until I found this tier list and looked at it, but it's apparently like a kid show. There's two kid shows on here that I didn't know what they were before. So you know, I'm just gonna preemptively like Young Jedi. Never watched it. Just to get that out of the
Same.
way. I before this I didn't even know what they were. Anyway, Mandalorian. Okay. I feel very differently about all the seasons of Mandalorian. Not all of them are S tier. The third season isn't as bad as people are like, oh, but Jack Black sucks. Jack Black's just a goober, dude. Just deal
It
with it.
doesn't.
But I do think that like the first season's the best season. It but it still makes but it carries down a little bit. But Mandalorian is still an A plus show. And again, that's taking it on the whole, all three seasons together. If this was just season one, it'd be S tier, and the other two seasons would be A tier. That's how I feel about it.
Agreed.
Like, there's nothing particularly wrong with there, but the first season of Mandalorian, it had that spark, it had that intrigue. We didn't it the other two seasons didn't quite get. So like it's gonna be the top of A tier for me. So again, it just know season one, S tier, seasons two and three, somewhere middling A tier. So on the whole, A plus, top of A tier. Easy dub. I okay. Rise of Skywalker. I liked it better than Last Jedi. A lot better than Last Jedi. I know a lot of people give us some dog shit to that weird little key. They're like they put against like the ship. They're like, oh, that seems like an oddly specific thing. How long the ship's been there? Yeah, it's also an oddly specific key.
Like, is this your first adventure quest type movie?
I would put it just yeah, yeah. Actually, it's A tier. I'm just deciding where. Do I like it more than Force Awakens? No. You know what? Yeah, there. No, no. Fuck. This is hard. I like it a little. Just it's really close with Force Awakens. It's just which one do I like more? So it is an A tier thing for me. I also just the moment where all the ships come in, I think is great. I will acknowledge Palpatine being back is kind of goofy. Like, and that's, but I do blame The Last Jedi for that. I do the, where else was the story going to go at that point? Like, well, it's because Kylo Ren killed Snoke in Last Jedi, right?
Right?
So the options were Kylo Ren leads the First Order into a massive onslaught. Like that was the premise, and now it's just like the final push, and now it's just more of an in-depth look. And everyone's split up, we're in dire straits. It's just the one last hurrah rally. So we knew that's coming. I think the Palpatine stuff and having him come back more than making a cohesive narrative to the Skywalker saga, or or rather, more than making it a cohesive narrative to this new trilogy, I felt like it was more of a way to tie it to the other two. And I don't know. I'm undecided on if they should have done that to begin with. You know?
I just wonder if any version of Rise of Skywalker really had a chance.
No. Here's the thing. I'm being nice to it because like I am generally forgiving on movies, but Rise of Skywalker, just like with Phantom Menace, it's better than you remember. And if you take everything in context, like, oh, why were they riding horses just on the ship? It's like, cause it's cool, dude. Like, I first and one, it's cool. Two, it's faster than being on foot. And two, and three, what speeders did they have? Their options were ride horses or run and laser fire. This gave them a better chance because it's faster. Yes, it's goofy, but they're a bunch of rebels. Like, what do you want? Like, that's one of there's a lot of dumb moments in this,
Hmm.
but this is because everything it did everything it could to reference not just Last Jedi, but right The Force Awakens and try to wrap it up. I think the thing holding it back. Yeah, I think you're right. There was no version of this movie that would have been critically just acclaimed. Uh, the
Just,
but so I think they decided fuck it, and that's why they did Palpatine is back. It just that's why like it feels memey, and I wish they took it a little more seriously. Like everything with Palpatine, and again personal bias here, but just the whole last line about I'm Rey Skywalker just feels like a big whole middle finger to everything they were trying to establish in the first movie to me. It's like fuck you. I don't like that. I don't like that. I, but that's more of a personal. But if it makes sense with everything they were establishing and how they tied it together with Rise of Skywalker, but I don't. I wish. I think it would have been better. I would have pulled that spark if instead of trying to rely on Palpatine and rely on like the past Jedi for that climax. I wanted more. This is one fault that I do think that the new trilogy has in general is it doesn't focus on these main three heroes enough. Because there's a lot, all three, Ray, Poe, and Finn, do a lot of stuff off screen and then grow off screen and then just tells us how they grew. For all the faults like that, and granted, the episodes 1, 2, and 3 did that as well. However, like with episodes 2, there was a time skip. Everyone grew at the same time, and we were introduced to them at the same time. We relearned them at the same time. With Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, it feels like they all kind of went off at different times. And while we're watching this, doing, oh, we're watching Finn here, but all okay. Apparently, Poe did this. Now we're following him. Okay, now Ray did this, and we're following her. It felt like they didn't feel as unified as they would in the other trilogies. I do think that's a general fault. of this new trilogy. And that's not a write in, it's more just a by design. I think it was intentional because they wanted to show how spread thin the resistance is. And to a point, I appreciate that. Because it really does start in like the end of Force Awakens when they start the actually rejoin with the Resistance. So I really think that was the intent, but it wasn't conveyed well enough, and I think maybe they could have done like teams and maybe split up. It just felt like a constant fighting of an A, B, C, and D story, you know.
Hmm.
And again, that's not enough to, I think, hold Force Awakens and Rise of Jedi back to like, oh, this is god awful. But it, for my money, it keeps them both from being S tier movies. Like I like them both. I'm not the biggest fan of Last Jedi, but I like Force Awakens, and I appreciate what Rise of Skywalker did to close out this series. Like, where would you put Rise of Skywalker?
This was another hard one for me to rank, but uh, giving it some thought and actually watching it yesterday, I would probably give it a B plus, just shy of an A.
Just shy of an. I get that. I do I like it? You
Um,
know what? I'm looking. I was looking at where I put. I think I'm focused too much on these two. I think I do like Phantom Menace a bit more than Rise of Skywalker. So for that, I think I agree. You know what? B plus. But Rise of Sky, I think Force
but
Awakens is the best of the batch. Rise of Skywalker, tippy top of B. Tippy top of B.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
I'm okay with that.
um, I would have preferred some things be different about it, but the stuff about it that I like is it's just pure Star Wars to me, and I love it.
Yes. Yes. That's what's
And
yeah, that's what's keeping it at least somewhat high to me. Like it gave you exactly what you wanted.
like you I believe you mentioned about The Last Jedi how it felt like there were a lot of disagreements in the writers' room.
Yeah, like that's just like a known
I feel
fact.
that
Yeah.
I feel that more so with this movie.
Yeah. Like
I mean,
it felt like it was trying to close up multiple differing storylines and it didn't know how to do it sometimes.
or expand on certain things that they mentioned.
Yeah, I get that. So like how
But
you feel about that, I feel more viscerally about Last Jedi, and part of that is because I knew about the writers' room before Rise of Skywalker, so I was kind of predisposed to be more forgiving of it and prepare myself, and that allowed me to enjoy it more. But once I saw like
but
yeah, so that might be why there's a slight difference of opinion, but yeah.
but at the same time, I have to think back to a lot of the factors that led to those decisions. Not to mention the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher at the time,
Yes.
which kind of backed them into a corner. So
Yes.
they did what they felt they had to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Okay. So to play devil's advocate, like, and about my, I know I kind of just Jedi and how they did certain decisions. Carrie, everything about Carrie Fisher and having her die in these movies, you're right. That was handled as tactfully and gracefully as they could have. Like that, and honestly, in a weird way, because they already lost Han Solo, losing her, it felt thematically appropriate in a morbid way. So everything about Leia in these movies, I don't necessarily have a problem. Like it's just everything around it. Yeah.
Right. There, I mean, there is one thing, but it's just kind of like a whatever gripe. And if you remember the trailer for the movie, they have that scene with Rey facing down Palpatine, and you just hear the spirit of Luke Skywalker say, "The Force will be with you," and then you hear Leia say, "Always." I wish they would have kept that in.
Yeah. Yeah. A few nitpicks here and there, but no, I generally I would watch Last Jedi again. I know I got a little heated, but my heat and anger for Last Jedi comes with knowing that like these movies have different writers, and unlike the other two trilogies where Lucas had a clear like, goal in mind, and even though he didn't, I don't think when they finished New Hope, they never had an exact plan for all the way to the end of Empire Strikes Back: Return of the Jedi. That's why I think that it feels like those two movies are more connected than New Hope is to the other, you know? But
I mean, he kind of did, but
he kind of
it,
did, but it
it,
was all
it, it,
conceptual.
it yeah, there was a lot that changed
Yeah.
from production of movie to movie.
Yes. But even still, like there was a lot of like hard factors that didn't. With these three movies, like the one hard line fact is everything from like tone and like how characters acted. There was a different writing team, a different production team between movies. And I really think if not no matter your opinion on this new trilogy, they serve as a testament of why you can't do that. If you're going to plan out a trilogy, as you need to have as much of the team carry over between the movies because they know what the plan is. They know what they're trying to do. There's a lot of this is just a big game of telephone. So I think everyone's going to have at least one of these three movies that they just hate because of it, you know?
Eh, such is life.
That's his life, yeah. But anyway, to move on to something else, I much like most of the shows on here, I've only seen a few episodes of The Bad Batch. I am going to defer to your opinion on this because it's fine.
Well, if y'all know me in real life, you know that I love this show, The A Team, and the Bad Batch is pretty much the A Team. An elite squad of clone troopers is basically on the run from the Empire, doing basically any odd jobs and missions they can to get by.
Yeah, and I do appreciate it so much. It's just this is one of you know what I'm going to be safe because I can't accurately judge this. I can't accurately judge this. I want to give it a high B from what I've seen, but I've only seen very little. This is like one of the yeah no everything else yeah everything else I'm confident enough I've seen enough of it to give an accurate assessment. The rest oh
That's
wait
a that's an opinion on a show we'll get to later.
yeah uh,
But for my money, I mean, not. I mean, this goes without saying that not every episode is going to be like, "Oh my god, that was great."
right no not every episode has to
But
be.
for my money, I still give it an A.
Yeah.
Below Clone Wars, but still an A.
From what I saw, again, I saw an incomplete story. Like I need to see it. Like I liked it. I didn't love it, but like there's a lot of these shows on Disney Plus lately, especially some Star Wars shows that I don't form my opinion on until they end. So that's why I say like
Hmm.
I want to put it in the B above Attack of the Clones before below Rise of Skywalker, but there's still a good chunk of the show I haven't seen, and I trust your judgment because it seems like it would ramp up better. That I might end up giving it a high A below Mandalorian if I just sit down and watch it. I don't know, but for now, like that's like the only other show that I'm like I haven't watched enough of this to really give an accurate like you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, one I do have an accurate stance on. Um, Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett. I want to give this a high grade, but I can't. I want to put this above Mandalorian, but I can't because the Mandalorian usurped
You almost did.
the Mandalorian usurped part of the show.
Yeah.
There, right there, right there, right there. Which is a shame because the first part of it is great. I loved Book of Boba Fett. It's just I this is just a bad writing fault. This is just a like bad writer's room, not for Book of Boba Fett. That like halfway through the series, it completely derails for 2 episodes to become Mandalorian season 2.5, and then it cuts to the finale of Book of Boba Fett. I think that's horrible. Like,
Mhm.
I don't mind Mando being in Book of Boba Fett because they interacted in Mandalorian, but the show derailed itself, and I don't think that's a sign of a good like a good quality show. You know?
Yes, and it's kind of for that reason I once again have to give it like a high B rating,
High
like
B.
where Rise of Skywalker is.
Yeah, I definitely liked it more than Rise of Skywalker. I liked it more than Force Awakens and Menace. Not quite as much as I'm happy with where it is. You know what? No, yeah, there, right between Return of the Jedi and Boba Fett. Because what I saw was so good. I,
And
I, when
it
I
it made Boba Fett actually interesting.
made him interesting, but it also made Mos Eisley interesting. Mos Eisley felt alive. Like there was like a whole economy of spice. There was a whole like all these towns, all these people competing in just hard life. It's a Star Wars where you will pretty much never go to space. That's why the Mandalorian stuff bugged me. Like it took a very interesting facet of the culture of Tatooine and just let's expand upon that with a character we didn't utilize. I was loving it for a while. I love that old West town, like the guy that had the Mandalorian armor they scalped off there. I like seeing that bounty hunter. Oh, he did. He looks so good.
Yeah, if you liked him there, you should watch the Clone Wars episodes with Cad Bane.
Oh, I did. Like, like I said, I didn't see all of the Clone Wars, but I saw enough. But Mandalorian, yeah, Mandalorian and Boba Fett, I think set the tone for what the other series are trying to do, for better or for worse. But like, I want to get. Here's the thing: a good half of this show is S tier quality for me because there's moments where it takes it slow, but moments where it's threatening, moments where it's sweet, moments where it's funny, moments where it's just downright interesting with great writing. It's really is like the Mandalorian dragged it down. It's just like, no, 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 you're a Mandalorian. You're gonna be an A rank with me, asshole. That's really what it feels like. The Mandalorian is dragging Boba Fett down, which is weird, but it is. Actually, I'm looking at this. I don't know. Well, no. Well, okay, we'll get there. I don't know if I'm gonna have another S tier. I might. I might. We'll get there. But now, to move on a little bit, Obi-Wan Kenobi. A B. Eh, eh, yeah, it's all right.
Hmm.
It's all right.
I mean, I like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show overall. It's just, I think its placement in the timeline is a little bit, huh?
It's okay. Here, it this yeah. I its timeline placement, how it's connecting everything, it does its best, and it really does try. It connects a lot of loose threads from the original trilogy and episode 3 and episode 4. It connects a few loose threads there in a way that I totally believe. I wish there was more relation between Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker's dad or his adoptive father
Uncle.
or uncle. Yeah, but Uncle Owen. But I wish there was more going on there. I just think most of the I, I feel that it even after Revenge of the Sith, is it? I understand why they made Obi-Wan Kenobi as disheveled as he was. Like I was just more of a depressive hermit than he was. Like he felt like he had this
Right.
duty and he had to commit. But there were moments where it found like he was being a little too like damn dude, cheer up, you know?
Hmm.
Like and again, it's hard to say because you know what he's been through. And I feel like, damn dude, cheer up, smile a little bit. Like I feel it'd be better is if he was generally like that his dour self. But when I think in the few scenes he had with Leia, young Leia, I think
Yeah.
he should have been softer. I think he should have been more like the Ben Kenobi we saw in the original trilogy. Just to show the audience that he's still in there. He's just been through some shit and he's just trying to protect what little light there is. I think that little moment would have been enough to tell the audience exactly what we need to know. But like he just felt too it felt way too dark and way too serious. Also him the end raises a lot of
Which
questions. You know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean, since you're not outright saying it.
The fight with a certain character at the end. Let's say that. It's
Vader?
yeah. Here's the thing. Now that they have interacted on that planet, they now know he was on that planet. I think that creates such a huge plot hole. You know?
I mean, not necessarily.
I don't know. Like maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I need to watch it again. But I feel like just well, if it was just Vader, and this was like clearly like okay, this is just where he is, and like he's not gonna pursue him as long as he just kind of stays there. It's kind of a mix of just respect, but also like yeah, you stay there, old man. That would explain why Vader never interacted with him or messed with that deserty area for like the next like decade or however long it was for that planet. That would
Hmm.
explain their interaction, but like the crew and even like the emperor, like they were looking to see like what is he after? What's going on here? What's with what's her face? Like there was other stuff going on, and I feel like his presence there becoming known to that other major player is enough to key in other parties. There might be something going on here. I don't know. Like if it was just Vader, there's a lot I could just dismiss. It's like, oh, okay, so this is like out of both respect and just like pity. Like, yeah, you just get back in your hole, old man. Like I could buy that. It's not. It's everyone around Vader. Just like no one kind of. Why are we all just surprised? Okay, sure. Maybe I need to watch it again. Maybe I'm missing something. But for my money, it just felt like how that was orchestrated created more plot holes. But
Mhm.
it's literally just the end. It's literally just the end. Everything else just feels kind of fine, you know?
Yeah. I feel like maybe I could give it a rewatch too, but I'm I'm still giving it a high B plus over Boba Fett, solely based off of the performances from our leads and pretty much anything involving Vader, especially their last scene together. That just broke my heart.
Oh yeah, no, their last scene together was fantastic. Like I said, I don't mind their scene together. Just to make it clear, it's literally like what their scene together means within the context of everything they were building in that show, and everything that is supposed to lead into with New Hope. Because it just makes me question, like, well, wait, now knowing that, why didn't certain people? Okay, whatever. It just makes it. I might even watch it. Just makes a few details muddy, but I'm also could be overthinking it. That's why I still was like, no, it was still a fine show. Put it in B. Andor. That's all right. No, it's good. It's good. You're about to tell me something. You're about to tell me something.
Okay. Here's where I'm going to lose a lot of people if I haven't lost them already.
Yeah.
When I watched Rogue One, I generally enjoyed all the characters from it, and like I said, could they have been fleshed out a little more? Yeah, maybe. But the one character I felt like I didn't need to know any more about, Cassian Andor, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I understood what his deal was, and when they announced he was getting a show, I was like, but why? So, I mean, I did watch the first maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and
Mm,
I didn't hate it.
mm.
But at the same time,
Yeah, right
I
there.
feel like I have to place it squarely in the never watched because I haven't watched all of it and don't therefore can't really form a solid opinion on it.
It's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, yeah. Okay, it's good. I haven't watched season two, so I watched a season. So it's good. It's just a different breed, like than other Star Wars shows. It is more espionage. It is more drama. It's more intrigue. It's more of that. It is similar to Rogue One in tone, with less emphasis on the action battle, but it is good. All right. Oh, Tales of the Jedi. But I don't want to linger too much on Andor because if you haven't seen it, and I don't,
Yeah.
I've seen enough of it where I don't want to put I've never watched. It's just Tales of the Jedi. This might go never watched. This is that behind the scenes show, right?
No.
No, what is
This
this?
is this is like a Clone Wars adjacent show. It's
Oh,
a,
then then I haven't seen
the,
this.
the the Tales of series, all of them are basically just shorter episodes detailing either origins of where this character is now stories.
Yeah.
The half of it is about how Count Dooku became so distrusting of the Jedi Council and ended up joining Sidious and the Separatists, and the other half is showing what happens to Ahsoka after the Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, speaking of Ahsoka,
Yeah.
not quite Mando level. Yeah, there we go. Easy. I don't really feel I need to justify myself. It's an A+ movie or A+ show.
Mm,
A lot of that's carried by the actress.
yep. I mean, re- to me, Rosario Dawson was the perfect choice to play Ahsoka. And the way you've got your stuff ranked in terms of Mando, Clone Wars, and Ahsoka, that's how I've got it too.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so since these aren't the behind the scenes thing, I'm going to do this now. Tales of the Empire is a never watched for me. I was thinking it was because I've watched some of the behind the scenes shows. I've never even heard of some of these. Bad Batch I've watched part of, again tentative B, but yeah. um no, Ahsoka, I don't have a lot to say about it. Like, yeah, it's just a solid show, but yeah. Uh, but no, the Acolyte. Oh boy, how do you feel about the Acolyte?
I mean, I like it, love parts of it,
But
it but it's just from uh, it's hard for me to say exactly how I feel about it because
I'm gonna
it's so disconnected from the familiarity of what we've gotten before, and I mean, I don't.
I'm gonna put
B
it.
minus.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna. Here's the thing. The show gets a lot of hate, and I completely see why. Like a lot of the stuff with like the witches and like there's like a whodunit plot that's it, that you forget is a whodunit plot.
Hmm.
Um, I know there's one controversy about it that I think people are morons. It's like, oh, but the helmet deflected a lightsaber. Right, that was awesome. But how can it do that? The last decade we have spent like learning about different lightsabers, different materials that lightsabers can and can't pierce through. Why is it suddenly like a person has a specially crafted helmet that you just can't just suspension of disbelief enough to go like, oh, that helmet must be made of Beskar or one of the other fictional metals that deflects lightsaber bullshit. Like, why is that a thing? Just people's just like picky and choosy nature on suspension of disbelief boggles my mind. Because yeah, that fight was awesome. It was one of the good parts of the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm also not sure how I feel about the ending.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's really dropping it to B minus for me too. It's fine. There's some good parts to it, and the ending.
I
It's really
mean,
just like, really, that's how you're going to introduce this guy from the books? Really?
we we I might have a different opinion on it if maybe it had gotten another season to expand on it,
That's the thing. And
but no.
I think they have plans for a season two. The problem is the big execs didn't think it's going to do well, so they're just like, oh, just throw all the table scraps around the main story. And that's what it feels like because there's a lot of baggage, a lot of filler, and a lot of extra bullshit that teams kind of thrown in the mix that interfere with the main story. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it feels like the dumping ground for all their ideas. Just like, oh, and then if it goes on, then you have focus. Like I'm convinced if we get an Acolyte season two, if we did get it, it was going to be more focused and so much better. But we're not. And the fact that they left Darth fucking Plagueis in the introduction on their throwaway show is kind of insulting, honestly. You know.
I mean, that's one way to look at it.
And again, this is not. I'm not saying it's a throwaway show because it's a bad show. It's just like it's very evident that Disney,
They had plans for that,
right? It's very
and we
clear
won't get to see them.
they had plans. We won't get to see them, and part is because the execs saw this as like, oh, I know this will be popular here. Just include this stuff that we just want to kind of throw out there, bog down the story. Like, well, it might not do so well. That's fine. It's whatever. We have other things we want to do. Like, it really feels like this was the redheaded stepchild that they just kind of like let carry the baggage and forgot about. So even if it had good ideas, it just kind of fell by the wayside. It's like I wish more care and love was put into introducing such a great character to the film franchise, but wasted potential is probably the best way to put the Acolyte, you know? Okay, I know you didn't want to cover it. Star Wars Visions.
Well, it's not that I didn't want to cover it. It's just I didn't know how.
Here's the thing: the same way we would do Mandalorian, and I'm going to briefly put mine there. Yeah, there. As a concept, if we're going to judge it as a concept, like, does the vision succeed in giving us stories that are clearly Star Wars, but allowing the creators to like really expand upon them? Like, are these stories Star Wars? Are these stories like respectful enough to the source material? Like in season one, there's really only one story I kind of didn't like. It was the Astro Boy Casal one, because that one felt kind of odd. But the rest were great. It like
Well,
it felt like these.
go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say going off that assessment, I don't have visions on my thing right now. But if I were to put it anywhere, mm, probably A rank between uh, between Mandalorian and Clone Wars, or Clone Wars and Ahsoka. I'm not really sure because, like you said, some of the shorts are just that good.
And some of them didn't quite. I think one other side of this, and why I think it's better to judge it as just a concept, is how you feel about each story is also going to be judged by how do you feel about anime in general.
Um, uh, See, that's where things get tricky because I don't watch a lot of anime,
Yeah, like
but the anime I do watch, I enjoy.
yeah. That's why I was like I'm like I have to move this back down to C plus. I'm sorry, it's like it's bugging me. It's like where I keep looking down at Let's Chat. It's like no, I'm sorry. On my list, it's like a C plus. It's like I'm sorry, but Visions. Grant, I will grant this. You know what? I'm going to change a little bit because we're including multiple seasons. Revenge of the Sith, because season two's good. It's not as good as the first season, but it still has that general like quality that these people clearly had Star Wars like in mind. They clearly know what they're doing with the source material. It's still great. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yes. It was. It
I
was.
just
Oh, go ahead.
I just realized I didn't mention Tales of the Empire at all.
Yeah, I moved it because I've never seen it because I thought they were a thing. But if you wanted to touch on it for a second, I feel like that's the same as Tales from the Jedi, just more.
Honestly, I'd put it a little below Tales of the Jedi because the first half is just not as good as the second half.
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen either, and like I don't know where I'd put these. Like, I would watch these two, and I would need to finish Bad Batch for a proper rating. Resistance and Young Jedi. I'm not gonna watch. Not I. I, just, I they just don't look like something that appeal to me. But no. Last thing, Skeleton Crew. Nope. No, not a B tier. Well, have you watched it all yet?
I have watched Skeleton Crew.
I like it. Uh, what? No.
Mhm.
Yeah. 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 Right there. That feels right. It's a breath of fresh air. It's Goonies in space.
Essentially, yeah.
Goonies in space. I don't have a the trailer for this show is great, and but it gives you exactly as advertised. I want there to be more shows like Skeleton Crew, Book of Boba Fett, Rogue One, and I know you this thing for Andor, but I want there to be more shows like it. Like I want them to expand the universe beyond just the Skywalker stuff. No, I don't know. This is generally where
I think I would probably have Skeleton Crew at like a solid B, I guess.
yeah. I like those kind of movies. That's what I was like. I'm teetering between A minus and B plus. What's really shaping everything is my Phantom Menace placement. If I move Phantom Menace down, Skeleton Crew is going with it. So you're right now. I like Skeleton Crew a bit more than Phantom Menace, but they each have those moments. The generalists are just so fun to me that like I would watch them again. I like them. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is generally my list. Like my most hated Star Wars thing is just it's neutral. It's meh. I raise my voice and talk a lot of shit about Last Jedi. There's still good things in it. I just don't like the direction they took and how obvious some of the writing faults were. I feel were more obvious in that movie than Rise of Skywalker personally. But I can totally see if you think Rise of Skywalker kind of flubbed it a little harder. It's like it really I really do think that that's going to be such a differing opinion between people. Like, I think
Right.
you're going to fall into the camp of I really like Last Jedi, I don't like Rise of Skywalker, or I really don't like Rise of Skywalker. Last Jedi was pretty okay. I really I think there's not a you're either one of those people, one of those two categories, or you're a turbo hater and you just hate both of them because you hate Star Wars and you're wrong.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I hate it.
But no, I do think Star Wars has been on a decline asterisk or quotation marks, but it's more like I don't think they know what they want to do. I think Visions is a step in the right direction because it was basically the quality of the shows is why I put Visions in S tiers because they gave so many people creative control. I think the future of Star Wars is going to be a lot of outsourcing, a lot of all these other shows getting what they want. That's why during Star Wars Day, we got 2 new Star Wars anime announced. I think Star Wars is quickly jumping on the trend that Hollywood as a whole is noticing is that we're slowly working towards is it's not about how much money goes into a project, it's how you use it. And you got to let people have creative control because producers don't know what they're doing and now they're paying for it. Because that's like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, like there's big name movies right now that are now losing money because so you get, budgets are going to get tighter. People are going to have to get more creative, and people aren't going to be as eager to like get super big names. They're probably just going to be like, let's give these people a budget and let them decide who's best for the role, and it's going to yield like a generally better products. I do believe that we're going to get a waft of Star Wars shows that are very good. I do think the next wave of shows are that aren't like so intrinsically tied to like the books or the Clone Wars saga or previous things or trying to make up for past mistakes. I think that era of stuff is what really held this era of movies and shows back. But then when I see stuff like Mandalorian and Visions and Skeleton Crew, I think, okay, if this is where they want to take Star Wars and just look at the actual galaxy and about all the other players and their own adventures, great. Because that's what we want to see. Or even just the Elseworld stuff of Vision. So like, I think we're about to get some really good new things going on. But yeah, this is my list. New Hope is still my favorite Star Wars movie. It's basic as fuck, I know, but I don't care. it's it's a classic, man.
I don't blame you for thinking that.
What was on the
Um,
top of your list?
okay, I I say Revenge of the Sith, but with an asterisk, and that asterisk is my opinion on things has the
Changes.
tendency to always change.
Yeah.
But so I will say for the time being that Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah. Asterisk. Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to be a long ass tier list, but yeah. Revenge of the Sith is good. It's a good lead in. I think Phantom Menace is. I do. I don't feel like I need to defend myself too much. I know we had disagreements on Last Jedi. I want to be able to place Bad Batch and these Tales series. I didn't even know about them. For some reason, I was like rewatching a few things over the week. I didn't even register these. They're on there. They're easy to watch. I just
Yeah.
didn't register them. I didn't even know what they were. That's why I was like, "Is that
Okay,
the
well,
behind the scenes thing?"
no. No, it wasn't Slimo.
I don't know. But I
Oh,
suppose with that, eh, I'll save this and post it to the Discord. But I think with that, that'll close out the day, close out the episode of pod. Thank you for joining me and sharing your Star Wars opinions. How correct and but also completely wrong they are. No, I'm kidding.
you're welcome, and thank you for having me. Hopefully, I didn't sound too defensive at some
No,
parts.
no, honestly, I did. I was being a hater on Last Jedi, dude.
I mean, we Star Wars fans tend to be at odds with each other, not necessarily for the right reasons.
No.
It's
Like
something that needs to change.
I just want to emphasize, like Star Wars is a series like I like, but I don't love. Like I love certain things of Star Wars, like certain movies and like shorts and everything. But most of the series, like I'm holding it A and B because and it seems a bit biased. Like, oh, you're just saying you like everything because I do. It's like it's hard for me to really hate a Star Wars movie, and even Last Jedi, for me being a hater as I am, I don't hate it. It does a few good things. I just really don't like the writing decisions they made, and I really don't think that. I really think the difference in writing staff and shows more prevalently in that than Rise of Skywalker. That's all it is. I just get a little salty butthurt boy about it.
Meh.
I still love the Skywalker scenes at the beginning. I still love the just how much of a gasp it gave me just to fucking fashion and light travel through the dreadnought. Like just like there's a lot of that movie I still love. It's just it just comes with a big little asterisk to it. You know. Next time I will commit to what won the wheel last time, and that is the Michael Bay Transformers.
You're you're gonna watch The Last Night, and you're gonna love it.
I'm going to watch the last night. I'm not going to commit to loving shit.
He's a
But
joke.
are they all on Netflix or are they all on Paramount?
I want to say Paramount.
Let's see, I'm going to look this up real quick.
You do that. I'm gonna fix this awkward gap in the picture I sent you.
Paramount Plus. Well, I'll figure it out. Hi, but yeah, 2 weeks from now I'll be joined by somebody. Hopefully, we'll get there. I'm going to just start and end positively because spoiler alert. I like the first two, and I like Rise of the Beasts. Yeah, but yeah, that's for that. That's for the next time. Thank you again for joining me. I will talk to y'all later.
May the force be with you.
And beware the revenge of the fifth.
Bye.